Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chandra Balava Girivaranari Gopi Chandra Balava Girivaranari Yashoda Nandana Padajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Padajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanashari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jana Balava Girivaranari Yashoda Nandana Padajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we're continuing with our reading from Srila Prabhupada Nectar book. In this book we are on page 262. This is volume 4, it says, and number 11. Little drops of nectar. In Vrindavan, there are hot winds called Lu that come from the Rajputan desert and can be deadly when breathed or when they enter a person's ear. When a strong Lu comes, most Vrindavan residents stay indoors and shut their windows. One evening, while Srila Prabhupada was sitting outside on the roof of his Vrindavan residence, a loo began. First, the atmosphere became very calm, as before a thunderstorm. Then came the hot winds. Prabhupada's servant Upendra ran out, covering his own head and securing the papers on Srila Prabhupada's little desk. Srila Prabhupada was in the process of dictating Srimad Bhagavatam, and he didn't want to leave. Although Upendra pleaded with him about the winds, Prabhupada accepted a charter, but remained while his servant periodically ran back and forth from the roof to the building to see if Srila Prabhupada was all right or if he wanted anything. This was during a time when Srila Prabhupada was feeling ill. Yet he sat silently and attempted to continue his work with great determination, despite the deathly winds. "What is that?" asked Srila Prabhupada. He had just come onto the roof of the Mayapur building when he noticed a brass lota. It was sitting next to a line of tulasi plants in pots. Srila Prabhupada seemed disturbed by the sight, although to the group of devotees walking with him, the lota and the tulasi plant seemed perfectly normal. "Is something wrong?" a devotee asked. "Look in the stool room," Prabhupada replied, "and see if there's a lota there." Someone ran into the stoolroom, came out and said, "No, Srila Prabhupada." "Just see," said Srila Prabhupada, "this is a great offense." Devotees were amazed at Srila Prabhupada's immediate detective work in surmising that someone had taken the stoolroom lota and used it to water the tulasi plants. Sometimes Prabhupada circumambulated the Krishna Balaram temple, chanting japa as part of his morning walk. On one such occasion, he turned to the devotees accompanying him and said, "You are blind, but I am seeing." No one knew exactly what he meant. Was it a philosophical statement? After another circumambulation, Srila Prabhupada repeated, "You are blind, but I am seeing." This time, he pointed to light bulbs that were burning outside the temple, although the sun was fully risen. Srila Prabhupada didn't like lights being left on when they weren't needed. Number 12. Radhanath Swami recalls a 1976 visit Srila Prabhupada made to the old farm quarters in New Vrindavan. Prabhupada had lived in that primitive woodland setting for a month in 1968 when it was the entire New Vrindavan. Although he had frequently visited the growing New Vrindavan project, Prabhupada had never gone back to the old farmhouse. If you can clean this place up, I will bring him up, said Kirtanananda Swami. But later he changed his mind. We're not going to bring Prabhupada up here. He'll say it looks like a jungle. It is not proper. Radhanath was disheartened to hear it because he was the pujari of the deity Radha Vrindavanath, who resided in the little temple farmhouse. He had been feeling it would be the perfection of his devotional service to Radha Vrindavanath if the pure devotee Srila Prabhupada would come to associate with him. He decided to at least bring a picture of Radha Vrindavanath for Srila Prabhupada to see. One day during Srila Prabhupada's visit, Kirtanananda Swami introduced Radhanath to Srila Prabhupada and told him he had been making Srila Prabhupada's sandesh. Very nice, Srila Prabhupada replied. Radhanath then showed Prabhupada an 8 by 10 picture of Radha Vrindavanath. Srila Prabhupada looked at them silently and meditatively for about a minute. Then he began glorifying Lord Krishna. He said, Krishna in Vrindavan is the sweetest. But Krishna stays in Mathura, Dwarka. That is city beauty. But when he is in the village of Vrindavan, his beauty is the sweetest. While saying this, Srila Prabhupada continued to glance at the picture of Radha Vrindavanath. He then spoke of how Krishna goes out to the pasturing ground with his buffalo horn and flute to herd the cows and play with his friends. Krishna and his friends would get so absorbed in their play that Mother Yashoda would have to go out and get Krishna to bring him home. Where are these deities, Srila Prabhupada asked Kirtanananda Swami. They are at the original farm, said Kirtanananda Swami, the place you stayed many years ago. You could take me there to see them, asked Srila Prabhupada. It's very difficult to go there, Kirtanananda Swami replied. The road is very bad. It would be uncomfortable for you. You have a jeep? Srila Prabhupada suggested. Seeing Srila Prabhupada's persistence, Kirtanananda Swami said that they would make all arrangements for his going there. When the brahmacharis from the old farm heard the news, they were ecstatic. They tried their best to clean and make ready their backwards temple and planned how to greet Srila Prabhupada. Radhanath emphasized that Kirtanananda Swami said it was important that the recording of the Govindam prayers begin as soon as Prabhupada walked through the doorway of the temple. Therefore, the tape recorder should be cued and played strategically. A guard should stand down the road and another near the house to signal Srila Prabhupada's advance toward the temple. Radhanath the Pujari will stay poised by the recorder, ready to press the button at the right instant. Meanwhile, Srila Prabhupada traveled 3/4 of the way to the temple by pickup truck, but then decided to walk the last part of his daily morning walk. As he walked, all the guards went to join him. Passing a black cow, one of the devotees said, "That's the first cow of New Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada." "Yes, I know, Kaliya," Srila Prabhupada replied. Finally, he walked up to the temple and entered. Somehow, the other devotees were all detained outside, and Srila Prabhupada entered the temple room alone. He stood with palms folded, looking at the surprised Radhanath. A bit belatedly, Radhanath pushed the button, and Govindam replied. Govindam began. They then opened the curtain, and Srila Prabhupada stood to one side, looking at Radha Vrindavanath. He nodded his head approvingly to the deities and then to the pujari. After a few moments, Prabhupada went to the rear of the room and sat on the rustic-looking Vyasasana. Sublimely and naturally, he began to give the morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Number 13. Srila Prabhupada said on the subject of restaurants. The other day, His Divine Grace revealed in detail His plans for Hare Krishna restaurants, which can be opened anywhere in the world. After his talk most recently, he told me to see that this information is disseminated to all the devotees. He described it as the next phase of our movement. Please, therefore, make a newsletter of the information that followers for all ISKCON distribution. Please, therefore, make a newsletter of the information that follows for all ISKCON distribution. Our Krishna conscious farms, like New Vrindavan, are producing much ghee. This ghee should be distributed at a fee to the different centers, and once restaurants begin opening, the ghee will be one of their prime materials. Other supplies, such as vegetables, grains, etc., can be obtained locally. The restaurants could be cafeteria style. The food is kept out on counters, and people approach in a line with a tray and take what they want. Prabhupada proposed that there should be one charge, and that if a person takes more than another person, he is not charged more, as much as you like for a certain fee. But there should be no waste. A person should take what he can eat. One devotee hearing this said, Prabhupada, I think people will be carrying samosas home in their pockets. No, he said, it is a business, only what they can eat, but they don't get charged more for eating more, like in a hotel, where immediately there is a bill if you eat more. All you can eat. We can also make home deliveries. Food is cooked fresh, and as it is taken, more fresh batches are put on the counter, always fresh. There will be about 20 sweet preparations and 20 salty preparations, like samosas made with potatoes, peas, cauliflower, white flour, and ghee, and kachoris, etc. The vegetable preps must be served hot. Everything should be so clean, and not even a single fly should be seen. After the first batch of prasadam is made, it will be offered to Lord Chaitanya with arati. Then the prasadam for the rest of the day will be considered offered. So you keep making more as you go for that day, because it's been offered in the morning. Smoking, of course, is prohibited in the restaurant. Tapes can play of our kirtans. The idea is that people who will not come to our temples will come and eat at our restaurants and will be eating prasadam and hearing. Also, it will engage men, our devotees in varieties of pursuits, not that without engagement men should eat in our temples in the name of devotional service. Hare Krishna Restaurant, the name Srila Prabhupada said, should also be registered so that others may not imitate. Hare Krishna Restaurant. Foods cooked in ghee, foods cooked in water, all the standard varieties will be there. Foods cooked in ghee are especially wonderful and helpful. People should come and be relaxed, eat and talk relaxed. See how nice Krishna consciousness is. There will be a small book and record store in the restaurant. Devotees will do all the work in the restaurant. We can even import an expert Indian cook if necessary. At the end of the day, everything must be thoroughly washed down and no leftovers. No prasadam will be given away free. At a certain hour, at the end of the day, the leftovers can be sold half price or some even given away. But the venture has to be an economically profitable business. So you couldn't give prasadam away during the day in the restaurant, but at the end of the day, you reduce the price, or maybe something can be given away at the end of the day, but not during the day. Start out the business small and train up men on one restaurant. Then you can expand gradually. You can give them nice drinks, masala milk made with small quantities of ginger, saffron, pepper, and cinnamon. Can be served hot, and cold drinks, cold juices. No tea is served. Yogurt can be made from hot milk when, when drunk as whey. It is very good for digestion. Yogurt can be made from hot milk. It is a very good idea for people to come to our vegetarian restaurant and take many nice things, especially the paneer, fried cheese, and sandesh, kachori, rasgula, samosa, and in this way forget their meat eating. If you make a soup like fried paneer with asafoetida and ginger, this will replace a lobster soup. Nonsense. Of course, we're not interested in giving them vegetarian food. We want to give them prasadam. Then gradually they will become devotees. Srila Prabhupada's vision. Letter of November 9, 1975. Another letter, one line here. I want that all householders be engaged in managing these restaurants. That's letter of July 20th, 1975. Another quote. Regarding the restaurant, you should not name it as you have suggested, but Hare Krishna Restaurant. That should be the name. In each restaurant, there should be the picture of Lord Chaitanya, and the food should be offered and distributed to the respected customers. There should also be a tape recorder playing the Sankirtan in mild voice. Playing the Sankirtan in mild voice. There's a letter in August 16th, 1974. I'm not sure if Srila said anything different later on, but we have Govinda's restaurants and Dallas Kalachandji's restaurant. And
I haven't seen it, heard of one that's called the Krishna restaurant, but Govinda's, yes.
no. But that's the Srila Prabhupada, according to this, that's what Srila Prabhupada said. And these are quotes from letters. Number 14, Prabhupada tells a story. I'm just trying to explain that the purpose of a book must be known to the author, and he knows it better than others. There is an instructive story to show this. It is not only a story, it is a fact. In Calcutta, a great dramatist, Mr. Roth, who was also a very well-known government official, wrote a book, Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan means the Emperor Shah Jahan. The title of the book is the name of the book's hero. So one of the friends of Mr. Roth inquired, is your book Shah Jahan? In your book, Shah Jahan, the actual hero is Aurangzeb. Why have you given given the book the name Shah Jahan? He could not understand it. The author replied, my dear friend, the actual hero is Shah Jahan, not Aurangzeb. Yet the Shah Jahan book is full of activities of Aurangzeb. But the fact is that Shah Jahan was the emperor. He had 4 or 5 sons. And when his wife died at an early age, he built her a memorial. Those who have gone to India, who have seen the Taj Mahal building, that was constructed in the memory of Shah Jahan's wife, Mumtaz, by Shah Jahan. He spent all his money constructing that building. It is one of the 7 wonders of the world. Shah Jahan was a very affectionate father also. He did not chastise his sons much. He spent all his money constructing for the memory of his wife. But when the sons grew up, the 3rd son, Aurangzeb, came out very crooked and made a plan how to usurp the empire. He killed his brothers and he arrested his father, Shah Jahan. So this is the plot of the book, Shah Jahan. But the author says that Aurangzeb is not the hero. The hero is Shah Jahan. Then he explained why. Because Shah Jahan was sitting in the Agra fort as a prisoner, and all the reactions of Aurangzeb's activities, the killing of his other sons, the usurping of the empire, all these things were beating on the heart of Shah Jahan. Therefore, he was suffering, and he was the hero. So, this is an example that the author of a book knows very well what is the purpose of that book. That is my statement. Similarly, these Vedanta Sutras were compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, or Krishna's incarnation, or Krishna himself. So he knows what is the Vedanta Sutra. Therefore, if you want to understand the Vedanta Sutra, you must understand Krishna. And Srila Vyasadeva explains in the Vedanta Sutra, Srila Vyasadeva explains the Vedanta Sutra in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Many rascals will comment in different ways, but the author of Vedanta personally wrote a commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, Srimad Bhagavatam is a commentary. It's like the purport for the Vedanta Sutra. Just the verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam it's like the big purport for the Vedanta Sutra. And Srila Prabhupada wrote his purports on the verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So going on. Yeah. So number 15, realizations. Srila Prabhupada had a way of speaking so gravely that even when he said something simple, his words had significance beyond their immediate apparent meaning. I experienced this several times, and I can remember I've experienced it several times that I can remember. For example, the second time I met him in Surat, India, I was following the devotees on a photographic assignment from Asian magazine. So I entered his room to take more pictures. As I sat by his side, Prabhupada suddenly turned to me and said, "So, are you going to become a devotee?" At that time, I still had a mustache and wore long hair. Although I was very attracted to him and Krishna consciousness, I said, "I don't think so." Prabhupada said, "Then you have to leave." I had gone to much trouble and expense to go to India from New York City, so I was completely flabbergasted by Prabhupada's comment that I had to leave. I didn't leave, and he never said anything else about my having to leave. Therefore, I came to the conclusion that Prabhupada was making comments that transcend time and were not necessarily meant for that particular moment. I took his comment to mean that if one is not a devotee, then he cannot stay in the association of devotees in the long run. Another time, a similar incident happened with Prabhupada and myself, where he said something that seemed to be connected with the present, but also in the future. It was at the installation of Radha Krishna deities in Paris in 1973. I was photographing the occasion, and a big kirtan was going on. Just after the actual installation, I put down my camera and went to join the kirtan. I was dancing for a few minutes, and when I turned to dance in front of Prabhupada, he motioned that I should come and speak to him. This was unusual because it was right in the midst of the loud kirtan with many people. I went beside Prabhupada and put my head very near. I heard him say, "You should never put down your camera." I immediately went to get my camera and started taking pictures. Naturally, I took his words as immediate instructions for the present. But as I thought about it, I realized that he meant it also for the future, that I shouldn't give up this work. I should never put down my camera. This is written by Yadubar Das Adhikar. Srila made a similar statement to one devotee who's a musician, playing guitar and writing songs. Mangalananda, is his name? Yeah. Never put down your guitar. The same mood. You have a talent, don't put down your guitar, use it in Krishna service. Number 16. Jai Shishi Gaur Nitai, Shishi Radha, Braja Bihari, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, Lord Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Number 16. Realizations. Again. One of the first times I was in Srila Prabhupada's presence, I saw him drink water from a lota. It was amazing because I had never seen anything done with such precision. It was a small thing, a tiny gesture, but there was something unique about it. I realized that anyone who could drink a glass of water like that was not an ordinary person. Later on, as I would have more association with Srila Prabhupada, I would see that happen more and more. He would do something and just do it very carefully. Most people do ordinary things carelessly without thinking about them. Yet, somehow or other, he always acted with full deliberation. It was, I guess, just a side effect of being Krishna conscious. Once when he was in Philadelphia, I remember he called me into his room. He had a gamcha tied around his waist, and he had just been given a massage. When I entered the room, there were several things going on at the same time. Several GBC men were there, and there was a whole discussion going on that was way over the realm of responsibility I had. I came into the room and offered my obeisances, and he turned to me and said he had received a certain amount of money. He wanted me to take the money, bring it to the bank, and send it in a wire transfer to a bank account of his in Los Angeles. It was an ordinary thing, but what really astounded me was how he stopped everything else, told me what he wanted to do, and explained to me very clearly. It was the clearest explanation of any activity I have ever received. He told me exactly how he wanted it to be done and made sure I understood what he wanted. He called his servant over to make sure it was properly entered into the books, and in the course of making sure of the proper entry in the books, he found an error. With great precision and deliberation, not hurried, yet in a short amount of time, he accomplished a whole lot, sent me off, and then resumed his conversation, all with the same kind of precision. He exhibited in drinking water. This is one quality of Srila Prabhupada's association. It became very difficult to describe. It becomes very difficult to describe because his Krishna consciousness would become manifest in these very small, insignificant things. And yet, while you were there, they were so expressive of the whole nature of the pure devotee. This was written by Ravindra Swarup Dasadikar. Number 17. During the 1966 days, Umapati Das and Hayagriva Das stopped attending the temple for a while because they thought Srila Prabhupada wasn't liberal enough in his attitude towards some of the well-known Mayavadi monks and toward the Buddhists. One day, they were sitting around their Mott Street apartment discussing this when Kirtanananda walked in. Seeing their mood, Kirtanananda began to bait them. I've decided to leave the Swami, Kirtanananda said, because I don't like what is going on. That's just what we've been talking about, said Umapati. You fools, said Kirtanananda, do you think I would ever leave the Swami? If there is a problem on your mind, then you have to go and see him. But he doesn't really speak English well enough, said Umapati. No, that's not true, said Kirtanananda. You will understand. So Umapati and Hayagriva went to see Srila Prabhupada to reveal their minds. Why haven't you been coming, Srila Prabhupada asked. We don't like all these things you've been saying, said Umapati, about the Buddhist and the Mayavadi monk. Srila Prabhupada said that they should not have thought they could not ask him about their doubts. Then he explained, first about the Buddhist. Prabhupada said that he had never said anything bad about Lord Buddha. I always called him Lord Buddha, Prabhupada said, but the Buddhists say there is no soul, and God is never mentioned in the Buddhist writings. Then Prabhupada explained about the Mayavadi monk. I have always said Prabhupada, that he is nothing but a crazy priest. Prabhupada then exposed the monk's discrepancies. According to this Mayavadi, one can worship Kali and go to Krishna. But Prabhupada said this is a direct contradiction because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that if you worship the demigods, you will go to the demigods. And if you worship Krishna, you will go to Krishna. So the Mayavadi is contradicting the Bhagavad Gita to say that one can worship Kali and go to Krishna. It's like saying that you can buy a ticket to Chicago and go to California. Then Prabhupada told them the story about the Mayavadi monk. Then Prabhupada told them the story how the Mayavadi monk met his chief disciple. And when he touched his disciple on the head, both guru and disciple felt electric shocks and fainted. Prabhupada said they had read the Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna saw the universal form. But where does it say anything about an electric shock? According to the Mayavadi monk, when he and his disciple woke up, the guru was crying. The disciple asked, "Why are you crying?" And the Mayavadi monk replied, "I have given you all my power. Now I have none left." Prabhupada scoffed at this and said spiritual knowledge something like is spiritual knowledge something like money? That if you give it away, you don't have any left? No, that is not the nature of spiritual knowledge. These explanations convinced Umapati and Hayagriva. They were satisfied because Prabhupada had convinced them with logic and reason. Prabhupada then invited them to take prasadam in the next room, and they happily accepted his offer, grateful to be back in his camp. Funny idea. Guru touches a disciple, and all of a sudden, all my knowledge and all my power has gone to you. But apparently, somebody will believe that. Number 18. The scene. Mayapur Gora Purnima Festival, 1976. Prabhupada is seated in his room, talking with Prajapati Das and his wife, who are leaders of the Krishna conscious dance and theater group. They are showing Prabhupada's pictures of one of the performances in a temple. Why are their backs to the deities? Prabhupada asked. Because, Jayatirtha said. Jayatirtha? Oh, because Jayatirtha said. Jayatirtha gave the instruction. Jayatirtha? Srila Prabhupada said it in a way that obviously rejected the reply. He then asked that whatever GBC men were nearby should come at once to his room. When the men had gathered, Srila Prabhupada began lecturing to them on the point of not turning one's back to the deity. Rupa Goswami has said, do not turn your back to the deity. But now they say someone has said it is all right. Prabhupada looked around heavily to the devotees in the room. This is the problem, he said. We have so many big acharyas. Sarcastic. We have so many big acharyas. When a devotee began speaking and mentioned another one of Srila Prabhupada's leading disciples, Prabhupada immediately cut down with a few words both the devotee in the room and the person he was referring to. Then everyone was silent. Finally, a devotee asked, Srila Prabhupada, what about women dancers on stage? Earlier that day, a group of young women from a big Bengali village had been dancing and playing mridanga in the temple, and some of the devotees had questioned whether it was proper to watch them. Srila Prabhupada replied that women should not appear on stage for dramatic performances. Men should play the women's roles. He said that in India it was done that way previously. Women's parts were played by boys. Only later were women introduced in the women's roles. Prabhupada said no respectable woman would do that, so they used prostitutes. Prabhupada continued speaking, outlining the history of Bengali drama. He then told the devotees about the time he had played in a drama about the life of Lord Chaitanya. It had been directed by a prominent figure in Bengali theater. Prabhupada described how, when the play was finished, all the actors stood there, but there was no applause. They looked out at the audience to see why there was no applause, and they saw that everyone was so moved by the story that they all had tears coming from their eyes. That's because you were in the play, Srila Prabhupada, remarked the devotee. Prabhupada shook his head and made a typical wave of his hand, as if to dismiss the notion that the play was important because of him. Number 19. Little drops of nectar. Srila Prabhupada repeatedly instructed that in a Krishna-conscious marriage, there is no divorce. This was based on the authority of Vedic Vedic injunctions, and he intended his own disciples to strictly follow this rule. One time, however, Srila Prabhupada received a written request by a disciple for permission to divorce his wife and marry another. In his reply, Srila Prabhupada somewhat reluctantly gave his permission. Srila Prabhupada's servant at that time, Shrutakirti, was bewildered by Srila Prabhupada's action in this case, and he waited for an opportunity to inquire. Srila Prabhupada can do anything. Shrutakirti thinking, I guess. Srila Prabhupada can do anything he wants, or though Shrutakirti, the thought Shrutakirti, but I can't understand why he would do this. Finally, in the evening, while massaging Srila Prabhupada in his bed, Shrutakirti asked, Srila Prabhupada, this devotee who was asking about the divorce. Srila Prabhupada replied that he had told him he could do it. Yes, I know, said Shrutakirti, but I was wondering, you always say that divorce is against Vedic society. There can never be any divorce. Prabhupada replied that in your society, these things are accepted. So, but in the Western society, said Shrutakirti, they also accept meat eating and intoxication. So why aren't any of these things allowed? Srila Prabhupada then replied that whether he gave permission or not, the disciple in question was going to get a divorce. Prabhupada explained that if he told his disciple no, and the disciple had gone ahead and done it anyway, the offense would have been greater. Prabhupada said that he had given permission since he knew that the man was going to do it anyway. In this way, the offense was not so great. Shrutakirti immediately appreciated that Srila Prabhupada knew just what to do in each individual case for the benefit of his disciple. Srila Prabhupada demonstrated that he wanted to deal with his disciples in sensitive and particular ways. This even applies in the case when a disciple would fall down or go away from devotional service. On one occasion, when a prominent sannyasi disciple fell down, Srila Prabhupada became disturbed when he heard that his secretary had broadcast the news widely in detail of the sannyasi's fall down. You may have made it impossible for him to come back, said Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada explained that the event should have been a personal matter, mostly between the spiritual master and the disciple, and perhaps a few other concerned could have been informed. Prabhupada said, if it had been treated in that way, then there was more chance that he could rectify the fallen soul, and that he would come back and be accepted by the devotees. By the wide broadcasting of his misbehavior, however, the man's pride would not enable him to come back very easily. Thus, Srila Prabhupada showed another aspect of his training and his compassionate, transcendental personality. Yeah. I'd like to go on, but maybe we should stop. Any questions, comments, appreciation? You can speak it to the microphone so that it's recorded also. For our audience out there.
This book of Srila Prabhupada's Nectar is absolutely amazing. You can learn so much from this book because we can hear Krishna's instructions to Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
You know, and how important it's like two things that we were reading today that is to justify what I knew that was the correct behavior or the correct way of doing things. And that is just how compassionate Srila Prabhupada is amazing. Like, and my question to you was this. So, Srila Prabhupada, Krishna, and the spiritual master, they authorized they authorized it, but Srila Prabhupada said that if the devotee is okay, go ahead and get divorced because he knew he was going to do it anyways. So if it comes from Srila Prabhupada or spiritual master,
Yes. Yes. So especially because of Srila Prabhupada. Hopefully.
Because sometimes the spiritual master also bends people here and there, but nothing like those, nothing like offenses or anything like that. Like for example, I just didn't want to say it. For example, the spiritual master, he feels like that he wants to give you second initiation without taking the Bhakti Shastra courses. For this is an example. Taking the Bhakti Shastra course, if he feels that you are worthy of taking second initiation, you can do that. It's no problem, even though the GBC says that you have to take the Bhakti Shastra course. That's one example. That's okay.
It's done like that, but still the GBC makes these, you know, becomes ISKCON law, then we should work within it.
Well, I understand, but some spiritual masters follow Prabhupada's instructions, and before the GBC was ever created. It's not necessarily so. Not everybody, not all of them.
But during Srila Prabhupada's physical presence, there was no Bhakti Shastra course. But he did propose it. He did say to do it, but it wasn't in place at that time.
My question is it wrong for spiritual master to do something like that? He's in the disciple succession, he's the representative of the Lord, Krishna.
Yes, but that also means that in ISKCON that means working under the GBC too. So the thing that rule which you just mentioned, I don't know if it's fully in effect now, but I know that it's pushing towards that in that direction.
I'm just asking, you know, like using that as an example that I use. And the Prabhupada here, another example of Prabhupada, you do not get very couple in Krishna consciousness, devotees, initiated devotees, made everything. But he made this.
Yes, because and he explained it too. He said he explained it because he knew that particular devotee who was asking about it was going to do it anyway. Maybe the Srila Prabhupada, he knew Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. To the parking lot.
Oh, push the button and open it.
Push the button and then open it. The door open? Yeah. My question is this, let me make it clear. The chief from Prabhupada to make some exceptions. That's not an offense. Has nothing to do with following your regular research, checking your graphs, or listening to doing all. Could a spiritual master do so?
To some degree, but
He's in a different society.
yes, and we're also in the line of Srila Prabhupada, who's our founder Acharya. So Srila Prabhupada is not just the guru in this line; he's the founder Acharya. so definitely try to give instructions within his instructions. That's the way it works. Um, Srila Prabhupada sometimes Srila Prabhupada made, um, can't come up with an example right at the second. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was requiring his disciples, he said, if you can't chant 64 rounds a day, you're
It's not locked, you just have to press the black button and the white thing.
At the same time.
It's open, the white big door to the parking lot. It's open. No, the parking lot, the white door.
The parking lot. Keep walking to the parking lot, the white gate, to get into the parking lot.
Yeah.
Gate, at the gate. Big gate, the parking lot. You press the white button
Why that door's so
and pull the white, the blue thing down and push it at the same time, all the way there. We can't have that. We have. Oh, this one?
No, the white gate.
Yeah, this one right for the white gate.
But I think what you're saying, like when you're in charge of like initiated women, which wasn't previously done, our spiritual masters and now today can make little changes, but not big changes like that. They're not going to go against.
No, apparat, of course, nothing like that.
Like little small.
Like a spiritual master would give a way to marriage. Arrangement of being married. Make an arrangement of marriage, give the instructions by the one time. Then no. Is that okay?
Sometimes the spiritual master will
You have to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. No?
yes. Again, it's generally yes, and it should all be within the general guidelines of what Srila Prabhupada said.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so that's the
But
point.
there's times that they can. So you're saying that if it's not exactly what your Prabhupada says, then you cannot.
Well, there are in Krishna consciousness there is what's called general principles,
Is there anywhere that your Prabhupada said
And
that
then-
you cannot get second initiation unless you take Bhakti Shastra course? Or you're going by what the GBC says that it's not one of the acharyas?
I don't know if Prabhupada stated that because we didn't about exactly because during Srila
I'm
Prabhupada's
saying that example.
because okay, well as that on that example, we didn't have there were no actual Bhakti Shastra courses during Srila Prabhupada's presence, but he did say to do them, to create them.
He said to create.
Yeah. So
He said to create.
and of course he was giving second initiations without it. But he wanted them created, and there was reason for that, because of what was happening, was a lot of devotees were getting initiated, second initiated, and never really studied the books, and were getting in problems because they were not really understanding the philosophy, which is why we studied the books. And so Srila Prabhupada wanted that we have a more formal arrangement of studying these books. He says that these books are not just for selling.
I'm just saying that there are instances, and that's what I want to answer to. There's instances where a spiritual master that is a Srila Prabhupada's disciple decides to make decisions. They're a little bit out of the norm.
Yeah, there are.
Because he feels this is.
Yes, and as long as it's within the general guidelines, that's what I'm saying. There's general principles and there's details, and if you can make the distinction between them and the details, sometimes there's room for adjustment. Now, someone is, say, spiritual master in this kind now, and they decided, well, I've decided Kali Yuga is a little more advanced now, so my disciples are only have to chant 8 rounds a day. It says 16.
Well, we know that that's not.
Yeah, I thought so. I'm going to give an example. You can't just change anything. So there's
I'm not saying change, it's just, there's little things that could be, like Prabhupada, he says, he thought he was gonna do whatever he was gonna get divorced and marry some woman anyways, in some companies, so, but his conclusion was that it would be better this way,
yeah, so it'd be less offensive. It'd be better that he say yes, and
That
because
it
he's going to do
would be a major
it,
offense.
because otherwise it would be a big
And then you
a direct disobey. He would be the disciple would be directly disobeying Srila Prabhupada's instruction. He said, "Do not ever divorce," and then he went ahead and did it, and that would be worse for him, for his spiritual life, his disciple's spiritual life, than if Srila Prabhupada said reluctant, and it did say reluctantly. He reluctantly agreed. Okay, it's okay, because he knew he was going to do it anyway. So better. Srila Prabhupada saw it in that case better. But as a general principle, he was very. Srila Prabhupada did, as far as like in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada. The beginning, as soon as somebody got married, they immediately were doing the marriage was actually the fire sacrifice and everything. That's how it was being done. I guess they probably did the legal side of it too, but that was immediately they did that, and then but then there started being so many problems and so many marriages breaking up and like that, and so at one point Srila Prabhupada changed, and he said, okay, you get married legally, and then after some time, then you do the fire sacrifice. Because this fire sacrifice really means you're actually promising to Krishna, and it's very serious. So he changed that. You first get do the legal one, so you're legal, and then when you show you can see that you can actually stay together and be serious in household life, then you do the fire sacrifice. So he made that adjustment. So this group, I made those adjustments. Same thing with initiations. When I got initiated, I got my first initiation 6 months after I had started chanting Hare Krishna. I was only living inside the temple for 3 weeks.
I think now it's 1 year.
Yeah. Well, Srila Prabhupada changed that. He changed it because. Yeah. But when I started 5 years after Srila Prabhupada came to America. I joined the movement then, so it was early on. But sometime, I don't know, remember exactly what year, but there were a lot of devotees who were joining, getting initiated, and just leaving after a short time. So Srila Prabhupada said, well, we better make more time. There has to be more time. You have to wait more time, show you that you're serious, make sure you know that you're serious. And, so he changed it from minimum 6 months to minimum year. And he also was encouraging the temple presidents and the leaders to be more conscientious who you're recommending. The Srila Prabhupada pretty much accepted whoever he was told. Not in every case. Sometimes he told somebody you have to wait longer. But
there was times where Srila Prabhupada made first and second initiation at the same time.
That's if someone, for example, was maybe born in a real Brahmana family in India, like that, and they've been following the regular principles as part of their lifestyle their whole life, and they're very serious and knowledgeable, like that. Then Srila Prabhupada might give first and second at the same time. Srila Prabhupada himself received first and second at the same time. And then someone else may never qualify for second initiation too. It's just because they're not serious. You got to prove. Srila Prabhupada says that the first initiation is for getting, so we can still, you started so you can try to develop more devotion, and the second initiation, he called it the real initiation. But the first initiation, of course, if you don't have second initiation, doesn't mean you can't become Krishna conscious. But still referred to it like that. And that the second initiation was a really serious one. but he did, but it's not like other groups that we see around. That first initiation is just so you can just start getting used to chanting, and there's no real emphasis on the regular principles or you know making any vows or anything. Sometimes, and then your second initiation, when you actually get serious. She'll probably expected that we are chanting our rounds, following the regular principles, engaged very seriously in devotional service. All that was for first initiation, and then and still later on, there would be you advance more, and then you get second initiation. Oh, I'm really over. So I think we got to end here for today, and tomorrow we'll be back on Srimad Bhagavatam tomorrow.
No, I was just
Oh,
going to
yeah.
mention the farmhouse, they just renovated it,
Ah.
the old farmhouse that you mentioned. I've been in there, you know, it was just, there's no one there. And we were down in the old farmhouse, because the property is so far down the road that it's still the way that Prabhupada, when he was there, it looked. But just a few months ago, they renovated the whole thing, so I feel blessed to have seen it in the way that Prabhupada saw it, the old rustic falling apart farmhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went out there once and saw it. That was really, there was a lot of energy there, even though it's this old little farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere. But they recently renovated it.
Good.
It's historic.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so we will end here for today. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.